talking about things that happened in the month of February. I'm drinking apple juice, and every time we move on to a new subject, I will be drinking some more apple juice. There's good news and there's bad news. This is gonna be an off-dome video, so I'm not entirely sure how well it's gonna go. That's the bad news, and the good news is that this is something that I've been wanting to talk about. You see, there are things that have been happening this month, and each time I've thought, maybe I should make a video about this, but I just felt like it wasn't gonna be anything of substance or anything that someone would listen to, so I thought, well, why don't I just mash them all together and make it a end of the month kind of thing. So this is mostly some unserious topics, some things that have gone on in the YouTube world that I wish I could speak to somebody about, but I really can't because not as many people in my day-to-day life are as immersed as I am. So I figured, why not just yap, alright? It seems like I'm a professional yapologist at this point. So I'm gonna yap, and to those of you who don't know, now you'll know. And for me, I'll be able to get some stuff off my chest, okay? Because obviously it's been ailing me. I've made a list. Some things we're going to talk about in depth, and some things we will glaze upon. It all honestly depends on my mood. So with that all being said, welcome to things that happened in February. Number one, the number one thing, and this is all going in some kind of order, the order of which I remember these things occurring. Number one thing we're gonna talk about is Meg Thee Stallion and Nicki Minaj. All right, before you take out your pitchforks and your torches, look, I'm kinda hip. I know everybody thinks, oh, L is like an old man. L looks, smells, and acts like an old man. He doesn't know anything about Nicki Minaj and Meg Vs Stallion, okay? I know some things. And something about me is that if I hate everything, I love drama, and that's the most that I could say. What's going on with Meg Thee Stallion and Nicki Minaj this month, you may be asking? Meg Thee Stallion dropped a song called Hiss. Alright, and in the song, there is a specific line that alludes to child predators, if you will. And of course, it's something that shuns child predators. And you see, this wasn't something that was a big deal initially. It was pretty normal. I mean, what could she possibly be talking about? Am I right? And also, we stand queen, you know, fuck child predators. The verse goes something along the lines of, these hoes don't be mad at Megan, they be mad at Megan's law. Somebody who took great offense to this was none other than the queen, Nicki Minaj, okay? Are you a barb? Are you a barb? Do you stan? If you do, get the fuck off my channel. Alright, let me chill out. There's something about separating the art from the artist. I listen to Kanye West's music sometimes, although of course, I am very weary to not summon 5 different pagan gods into my room, so I'm careful with it. And we will be talking about Kanye West a little bit later. But I understand if you like her music, you know, that's okay. That's something that people can do, but she is a piece of shit human being. It's funny because in my last video, the astrology video, I talked about Sagittariuses and how their morals were questionable, and I feel like nobody displays this as well as Nicki Minaj does. To those of you who don't know, she is married to a registered sex offender and rapist. Words that I will be bleeping out for the sake of this channel. Oh yeah, and by the way, Nicki Minaj's brother is also a registered offender. So a lot of not good people that Nicki Minaj is surrounding herself around, that she's directly married to, and also that she's related to. You can't help who you're related to at the end of the day, but time and time again, what Nicki Minaj has proven is that she's not for the girls. She has constantly insisted upon making every female rapper her enemy, as she grows bitter, old, and tired of the fact that these women are so talented and surpass her, due to the fact that she's washed up and presumably on drugs. Don't believe me? Watch this clip here.
Bullet fragment foot bitch. Bullet fragment bitch. She a bullet fragment bitch. Now listen here, ho. Get up on your good foot. Bitch, I said get up on your good foot, not your bad foot. Fuck was that, a diss or piss? Said it was hiss, I said piss. My fans called it piss. Yo nigga, bitch. Said all that shit about you, ho. Yo, ex-nigga that just was around you all that. Y'all mad because y'all don't have somebody that loves you and stand 10 toes down behind you. So you bringing up 30-year-old tea from when this man was a 15-year-old child. You bringing up 30-year-old tea because no man has ever and will ever fucking love you. And lying on your dead mother, on your dead mama, on your dead, she done lied on her dead mama, lied on her dead mama, lied on her dead mama, lied on your, I said lied on her, hey sexy red, she done lied, she lied and she cried.
Now again, this is all alleged. I am not a good news source. I'm just a person who likes drama and who's also consumed probably about 16 videos on this topic because I can't get enough of it. And again, even if I might be biased, I will tell you that if Super Bass comes on and I'm drunk in the club, of course I'm gonna sing every lyric. She is a legend, and she's done a lot for women in the rap business, in the rap scene, and in the industry in general. But unfortunately, I do believe that Nicki is old, washed up, a woman hater, and has squandered all of the respect that people have built and had for her over the last couple of years, because she can't just love and appreciate her fellow female rappers. So it's culminated in this mess, and one of my favorite things, one of my favorite pieces of lore throughout this whole thing was the fact that she did release a diss track to Megan, even though Megan only, said that one little line that could have possibly alluded to Nicki, that she took very personally, because of course she's the one who decides to surround herself with pills and rapists. She decided to make an entire diss track to it, and it's legendary. It's schizophrenic, as you could fucking imagine, or maybe not, considering her fall from grace and how good she once was. It is an absolute and utter shit show, and I don't enjoy the people who have suffered at the wrath and the hands of Nicki Minaj and the predators that she surrounds herself with, but I do laugh at the fact that somebody who was so amazing at some point, at least in their talent and craft, has fallen from grace, not only because of their actions, but also just because of their music in general. I'm not gonna play Bigfoot for you, because I don't want to get copywritten or anything like that. I'm also not gonna play Megan's song for you, but if you would like some reference to some videos to watch that will catch you up on the drama, I just watched a really good video by this girl. I'm not remembering her name. It's like a 3-hour video, and I've been watching it during work while I'm cleaning in my solitude, and it's been very interesting because, of course, she talks a lot about tea, but she talks about some really serious, important topics that need to be discussed, and some light shed onto them in terms of how much of a menace Nicki Minaj truly is, and also the people she surrounds herself with, of course. But that's enough about this drama. It's time to take another shot of apple juice as we follow on to our next topic. Mamamax. What the fuck do I even say? Was this a February thing or like a tail end of January into February thing? So if you don't know, Mamamax is or was a YouTuber, and he kind of hung out / dabbled in the horror genre of YouTube for a while. I was familiar with him for a very long time because of the fact that he did stuff with Nexpo, and Nexpo is a horror genre YouTuber. He makes like videos about lore and disturbing things on the internet. Maybe he talks about some mysterious video games. I've been following that guy since high school probably, and the funny thing about Mamamax is that anytime he was featured in a Nexpo video, I literally plugged my ears and turned the other fucking way, because there was something about Mamamax that really made my butthole itchy as fuck. I just couldn't stand it. I couldn't put my finger on it, but there was just something that I never liked. Fast forward several years later, in more recent days, Mamamax was somewhat of a predator YouTuber, as in he would hunt predators, the Chris Hansen of YouTube, if you will. And this is a very good, commendable act, of course, but basically what ends up happening is a convoluted plot to get every single YouTuber to talk about a situation that he had been droning on about this guy who was the leader of a vampire cult. His name was Camden Gerard Davis, and I'm gonna be honest with you, there's nothing that makes any sense about the situation and the allegations, or even if it does make sense, there are just so many different moving parts. You know what? I'm actually gonna give a lot of videos to you guys because I've had my eyes on this for a while. It all started with this YouTuber, his name is Deadwing Dork, and he had this one live stream shit-talking Mamamax, and it was really fucking funny. That video probably came out before the entire lid was blown off of this situation. I'm going to also link this Turkey Tom video, which actually is one of the first videos to chronologically document who exactly Camden Gerard Davis is, whether or not he is guilty, which again, there's just so much information, so many conversations and screenshots that show that this guy is a complete fucking asshole, and show that there's definitely some weird, strange shit going on in this story, but it's all very convoluted. I don't have that information to be able to portray for you, but at the end of the day, what we have found out is that Mamamax is a phony, and he's basically been driven off the internet, as so many people have come forward to disclose the fact that he has severely mishandled this entire situation. which was what recently put Mamamax under the spotlight, and it was also his most latest campaign in getting YouTubers to talk about him and give him some clout in the process. And I only say that because to Mamamax, that was the most important thing to him. It wasn't bringing this man to justice or getting justice for the victims involved, which is a pity, but at the end of the day, I'm just glad that he was exposed for being a fucking phony. You got Mutahar, which had Mamamax in a live stream along with Nicholas DeOrio. I will also link those videos so that you guys can check those out. But yeah, I just thought it was really interesting, and of course, I love to be right, so the fact that I never fucked with Mamamax and always thought that he was weirdo, to the point of watching Nexpo's videos and skipping any segment that included Mamamax because there was something that was severely off about him, to the fact that he is definitively a fucking dumbass coming to light. You know, I, unfortunately, as the drama-ridden troll that I am, was clicking in my heels. And of course, similarly to the Nicki Minaj situation, it's a tragedy that the victims haven't gotten the proper help that they needed. But the good news is that there are YouTubers on the scene who are intent on actually figuring this whole thing out and getting them the help that Mamamax promised them, but couldn't even provide to them because of how irresponsible he's been with every piece of information that he's gotten in this case. So yeah, fuck Mamamax. All my homies hate Mamamax. Good riddance. He also was relaying some extreme clown behavior in his final streams. I know that there's one stream that had me laughing my fucking ass off, where he's talking about how he's probably gonna have to get off of YouTube or some shit like that, and it ends with him hugging his significant other. Like, okay, honestly, nobody gives a shit. How about you get your money up, not your funny up? Oh wait, you can't. You've been driven off of YouTube because you're an irresponsible dumbass. And of course, when I googled it, it just so happened that he is in fact an Aquarius. Who would have fucking thought? I'm telling you, there's something real fucked up about an Aquarius ego, okay? It never ends well. Also, let me just clown on him a little bit more, okay? It's so crazy the lengths that people will go because they fucking hate themselves. Because they can't stand themselves and they have to, like, pretend to be somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Mamamax is the friggin' pedo hunter, okay? He's so unsatisfied with his real life. He's like, I'm the friggin' pedo hunter. So he has to pretend that he's like Batman, but for fucking sex offenders. He can't even do that right. And then this whole time, it's like, I don't know how anybody could possibly stomach that crazy voice filter that he had on a single one of his videos. It is so grating, and it is so obviously fake. And this is what happens when you don't like yourself. You just make shit up. You just make shit up. You become fake, like plastic. And you just make shit up so that people will like you. But guess what? The truth always comes to light, okay? The truth always comes to light, alright? So cringe. Like, you are so silly. You are a grown-ass fucking man pretending to be Batman, but for pedophiles. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with— We're gonna briefly touch upon this one because I don't have enough information. I mean, I have a lot of information, but again, I will be probably linking videos, or maybe I won't be linking shit. Okay, let's take a shot. This one's rough. Political streamer Vosh got exposed for basically having horse and lolly porn on his laptop. He had all of this shit downloaded in a folder, and it all just got exposed.
See, this is an example of the kind of structure that I'm referring to. What?
Anyways, this guy's a weirdo and a creep. He's some political YouTuber. And while people get exposed left and right for this kind of thing, there's just so much that doesn't make sense to me in this situation. Why would you do that on a work laptop or on a laptop that you're streaming on? Does it make any sense? No, not really. I'm leaving a couple of videos, links to videos in the bio about this whole situation if you'd like to watch. My main gripe with it is the fact that he had so many people defending him, specifically people like Keffels and some YouTuber who's washed up that nobody gives a fuck about named Tipster. But Keffels is a whole other, she's a league of her own, to be quite frank with you. I think it's people like this that give libtards like a really, really fucking bad name. Maybe I'm wrong for this, but I'm under the impression that most people are good and most people want to do good and be good. But time and time again, there's just other people who absolutely ruin it for those who are decent human beings. So that's enough about this topic. Twomad fucking died, and I'm gonna take a shot at some point, but Twomad fucking died. Now, if you don't know, Twomad is a YouTuber. I personally found out about him in the middle of COVID.
What are we learning today? Does anyone want to tell me I come to class late? And no one wants to tell me why? Why? Tell me reason. Why? Why?
He would basically come into people's classrooms and he would troll the shit out of everybody, just doing the most outrageous shit that you could ever imagine, and it was so fucking funny. It's crazy because a lot of people say that Twomad was really ahead of his time, or kind of a bit of a pioneer in a place where YouTube was watered down due to adpocalypse after adpocalypse. He was on the up and coming, and he had millions of subscribers combined with all of his YouTube accounts. But how does one fall from grace as badly as Twomad did? Well, what happened, we can ask. It appears that drugs has happened. I kind of was aware about this for a little while. Basically, about 8 months ago, there were allegations that dropped against Twomad. This girl, her name was Goldie Bell on Twitter, was basically talking about how he was strange, how he was a sexual predator, how he had assaulted her on one or multiple occasions, and how he was just completely fucked up in his head. This was really shocking for me to see at the time, but what was even more shocking was the way that Twomad responded to all of this. And the way that he responded was by manically and insanely tweeting, like 400 tweets per night. And part of it seemed like a meme. Like, I think that in his head, he thought that he was like Raffle Mayo, like Troll XD, Epic Gamer owning the audience and everybody who was consuming this shit. But in hindsight, you could see that it was just like a really troubled individual who was obviously either high in the moment or was completely fucking cooked in his brain from all of the drugs that he had taken. Shit has just gone on like this. The manic schizophrenic posting, the non-stop tweeting, a lot of offensive memes, one of the most popular ones being the fact that he was posting pictures of a trans girl who had unfortunately passed away. Like, posted a picture of her and said that it was his girlfriend, and it's obvious to most people that he was trying to be edgy, but it was just fucked up. Again, I kept up with this since the moment that the allegations dropped. I always followed him on Instagram. I didn't support him, but the fact that he was on this downward spiral intrigued me in a way, and I just wanted to see what would happen. And again, he was just constantly posting. I'm rambling a little bit, but what ends up happening? Twomad is found dead in his room, overdosed. Nobody heard from him. Nobody knew that he was up to. They say that Overwatch on his PC was open for 5 days, along with him being active on Discord. But what's fucked up is that for that entire time, nobody really came to check on him. And I think that tragically, it's a testament of the fact that he had pushed away everybody in his life so severely to where it could have been days and days where nobody would want to interact with this individual or even attempt to check on him.
So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, like, these guys are speaking very callously about someone who they knew IRL and spoke to outside of content, it's because he didn't make anybody feel good. He didn't make anybody feel like they were his friend. He would just constantly be kind of acting the same way he did in public, where he would be being a menace. He would seem like he was always joking. He didn't care if you understood the layers of irony. He didn't even bother to spell right. It was just kind of like this constant stream of disrespect and entitlement. I took that as is he doesn't have any friends.
He liked being alone. Like, a lot of I've spoken to a few people that were close with him, and like they would try and get him help or try and hang out, but he liked, like, they would tell him you need to be with people because, you know, if you're on drugs and alone, something bad will happen. And he would just say, no, I'm fine. You know, like, he liked being alone.
Of course, I mean, the fact that he died is really insane within itself. He was 23 years old. He wasn't even completely fucking grown. He was young. And he overdosed off of ketamine. Ketamine is the big one. And it's crazy because I used to say, like, oh, I want to try it. Oh, I want to try it. But honestly, I'm so fucking traumatized by this whole thing that you wouldn't fucking catch me stealing from a horse. Okay? Now, what's been the most interesting thing about this is not just the shock of the fact that this is a YouTuber that I enjoyed in younger years and that many people enjoyed and got a lot of laughs out of, but the reaction and the response to the fact that he died. On Twitter, people were having a fucking field day. And it's funny because I know that he's a shit person. I know that he did a lot of bad things, but it didn't stop me from feeling completely, eerily fucked up for the next 48 hours. The night where it came out, I remember I went onto Twitter to kind of get some more news and information. And in a tragic way, my mood was kind of lightened and I was somewhat desensitized because of how many jokes people were making about the fact that he had died. It was shocking to see how many people didn't give a fuck. He had alienated himself so badly by the time that he was dead or too far gone. It doesn't justify the you know, really, really cruel reaction that people had to it, but it kind of made sense of it. I made a post on Instagram kind of expressing how I felt, and I'll read it to you guys now. It feels like it's been fucked up for a while. I keep seeing people saying that they're not surprised that this happened and that it was bound to end in tragedy. I think deep down we all hope that some people will get up and change their lives and get the help that they need. Sometimes that's not the reality. Drugs will fry your brain. Motherfucker jacked up his own legacy so bad, people are celebrating and even making memes in light of his death. Don't even blame them. This is the reality that he created. Becoming a chronically online loser and alienating yourself from anyone who even gave a slight fuck about you while binging on drugs, this whole thing was doomed from the start. I think the only thing that's truly miserable is how young he was. Also the fact that one way or another he was a son and he was a brother, but I digress. All that to say that this is the reality that he created for himself, and it's disturbing and depressing. It's sad that somebody could reach such a great height generally and have such a fall from grace that's devastating enough to lead you towards death. It's fucked up what happens when you marinate in your mental illness. It's fucked up what happens when you're in denial. I also talk a little bit about Etika and how people were kind of comparing the two, or Etika's name was trending when Twomad had died, and it's kind of crazy the way that when Etika died, everybody was up in arms, and I think everybody who knew Etika was full of sorrow, and it's because even though Etika was fucked up and had his fair share of mental illness, he was loved, you know, and he really did try his hardest. He had a big heart, and that was evident to see time and time again. And Twomad just was not the same way. The guy had some real issues. And it's because of how badly he alienated himself. And this is somewhat off topic. I'm gonna definitely leave videos in the description for you guys. There's a video where Turkey Tom and Gokanaru interview Twomad, and it's crazy how it starts off kind of like lighthearted and jokey, but by the end of it, you hear Tom and Goka just kind of like, frustrated is not the word, but defeated. Defeated is definitely the word. But in that interview, there's a point where Gokanaru asks Twomad, like, don't you have any friends? Like, what do you do all day? And Twomad says, no, I don't have friends. Having a hard life builds character. And Goka, he protests that, saying, you know, like, having an easy life, like, wouldn't wish that for the world, but at the same time, the importance of life is the fact that we all need each other to survive. So it's just a really dark mindset that Twomad had.
Like, do you have best friends, bro? They're like offline?
Yeah, but no, not offline.
Okay.
Have you been like, has there anyone like that's like been around you throughout this? Like, just kind of keep your head on straight, or no?
Not really, I'm based.
I see.
You're making being based sound really depressing, bro.
What do you mean depressing? It builds character.
Being alone? It can,
Yes,
I mean...
Absolutely. You don't think that builds fortitude, having a hard life?
No, I want a hard life. I've never wanted an easy life, but doesn't mean you need to like experience it alone anyway.
I think having people around you is really important.
Well, there's 7 billion people, so eventually I'll just fine.
Another reason that this has been heavy on my mind is because I do have people in my life with severe mental illness. And if that's something that you witness, you know that it's not as easy as go get help. And you know that some people are so far in denial and so mentally ill that they don't even think there's a need for help. They think that it's 4D chess, and they think that they're fucking winning. A lot like how Twomad was. And it's dark, it's fucked up, and you want to say fuck you to these people, but at the end of the day, like, I can't even fathom what it is to have a brain like that. You know what I'm saying? I can't even fathom what it is to be so far gone. You know, you stay up at night wondering and hoping that no matter how far gone they are, that they're alive and that they're okay. And I will leave you all with this. Do not leave your mental health unchecked, friends. Do not lose yourself in temporary pleasure that can kill you. Get up and go outside. Call someone you love for help, even if you think you don't need it or don't deserve it, or even if you think you can do it on your own. If it's severe, go to crisis or call a hotline. Do anything to not end up like this. Choose life always. Oh, fuck, I didn't think we were gonna get so dark. Holy shit, I think this is the most emotional I've been about it, but it's because it's something that's been on my mind that I've been meaning to talk about, and I finally got the chance to. And again, when you experience people with severe mental illness, firsthand, you know, they're bastards, it's terrible, but the most that you could honestly wish is that these people get helped, and it doesn't always end up that way. Sometimes it's a lot darker than we'd hope for it, but... Also, as previously mentioned, I will be leaving a bunch of links down below that talk about the allegations that broke before his death, and also any videos that chronologicalize, is that a word? Basically the situation from start to finish. And I'm pretty sure that Turkey Tom is going to be releasing a video on the entire thing very soon. So if that drops by the time I'm uploading this, I'll be posting a link in the bio as well. Moving on, and onto something a little bit lighter. I think we definitely need a shot after that. Ugh. I've always hated Hasan Piker. I've never liked Hasan Piker. I've never been very fond of Hasan Piker. What is wrong with this dude? And every girl, like all of my friends who are girls, he's so sexy, he's so hot. No, I don't give a fuck. I don't like Hasan Piker. I think he's corny as fuck, dude. I think he's a cheesy fucking cornball. This week it came out that he was caught on stream saying that you could work a 9 to 5 and it would be more fulfilling and a lot easier than doing a job streaming.
Yes, a real job can be gruesome. A real job can make you very tired. But a real job doesn't suck the soul out of you. You know what I mean? In the same way that 9 hours of streaming absolutely will.
Now, here's the point of the argument. The claim is that everybody took it out of context. His point was to say that socially, streaming takes a lot out of you. My argument is that any fucking job, unless you're working in a warehouse by the fuck yourself, can take a lot out of you socially. Bitch, I worked at a fucking Chipotle for 3 years. You don't want to know what the fuck social draining is until you're at the front line asking people 79 times a day what kind of fucking beans they want. And on some days you're asking them more. You can't keep track of that shit. There are so many fucking people coming in and out of that door. It's nauseating. And you just have to deal with it, grin and bear, and smile. At some point you become like a fucking robot asking what kind of beans, rice, meat they want, pouring it into the bowl. And I actually have carpal tunnel and that job did not fucking help at all. I understand that there are aspects of being a streamer that are terrible, but I am also under the notion that you kind of create your environment. And sure, I mean this in life, but I also definitely mean this in streaming. And Hasan talks a lot about politics, and that's fine, but he has some very fucking polarizing or strong opinions. And when it comes to politics and strong opinions go together like water and oil, as in they don't fucking go together at all. You're bound to piss some people off. You're bound to have people trying to dox you on your day-to-day, or at least who are gonna come to you with a bunch of opinions that you might think are brain dead or that you might not want to hear. Nonetheless, this is the job that you fucking chose. I think that there are a lot of other streamers who just have a chill ass time, okay? Correct me if I'm fucking wrong, but there are a couple streamers that I watch, and we're in the chat frolicking and lollygagging. I think that some streamers could definitely say that. I think that you cultivate your audience, your environment, your community. And so if Hasan is drained every day because he's dealing with fucktards that he doesn't agree with, well, I just think that it's really fucked up for you to say that a job where you could sit there and play a video game for 8 to 7 to 9 hours a day while sitting and being able to go get some food or react to some content is much harder than getting up and getting fucking burritos thrown at your face, or getting told that you're a stupid bitch because the DoorDash order isn't yet ready because you guys are backed up on the DML for 7 hours straight and nobody knows how long you've been standing for and nobody knows how bad you want to smoke a blunt or take a fucking shot with your friend. But most importantly, everybody continues to shit on you and drown you with things to do. I don't think it's fair to say that streaming is a hard job or the hardest job in the world. I understand there are aspects that come with it that must be very complicated, but Hasan Piker is a millionaire, and that's what's always pissed me off about him. But I don't know how you could be anti-capitalist, but also driving in a fucking car that's expensive as shit, in a house that's expensive as shit, while also claiming that your job is so fucking hard, when technically you could do whatever the fuck you want. That's in terms of creating your own hours, talking about the things that you want to talk about, and doing the things that you want to do. Absolute fucking bullshit. I've always thought that he's an idiot, and above all, he's corny as shit. He's always been a cornball. He will always continue to be a fucking cornball. Drop his astrology sign below in the comments so that I can know and judge him even fucking more, bitch.
What the hell? Oh my god, no way, yeah.
Last piece of news here, the Hasan Piker should have come last. Vultures by Kanye West dropped, and also Anthony Fantano's An Idiot. Now, I don't know too much about this situation regarding Anthony Fantano not being completely able to review Kanye West's album because Kanye West is an anti-Semite, but apparently he couldn't review the album. He deemed it unreviewable. Meanwhile, he's reviewed other albums that were created by other and deplorable people.
Now, I don't give a shit if he burned down some churches. I don't care if he murdered a guy. I really don't care if he's racist. If he comes out with an album in the future that I find interesting, I will welcome it with open arms.
So everybody was up in arms about how much of a soy boy Anthony Fantano is, basically. And I don't blame them. Why is it that we're listening to the musical opinions of some white dude who is balding? Why have we been doing this? Why have we been letting him run our lives musically? Anybody who listens to Anthony Fantano doesn't know what real music is. I'm sorry. And I'm sure he's listened to some good stuff. Honestly, I don't give a fuck, okay? I don't trust that man. I don't trust any white man, and I especially don't trust a white man who looks like this. I think I'm gonna get in trouble for this video. But in the topic of vultures, if I could say one thing, separating the art from the artist, the song that he made with his daughter, North, really did pluck on a couple of heartstrings for me. I thought that it was very deep, and I don't know, there's not much else that I could say about it, honestly. I'm not as educated as some other people might be. I also don't want to get my ass in, like, super duper trouble by saying I like a Kanye West song or two, as though y'all motherfuckers aren't listening to Chris Brown like he didn't beat Rihanna's ass like a bongo drum, but I fucking digress, right? I didn't articulate this very well. Yes, being biased, that's my biggest thing. You know, if you're gonna sit here and review people who are murderers and who are outwardly racist, I know that that's an old clip, but still, let's just think logically about these things for a second. You can't do that and then not review Kanye West's album because he said a couple of anti-Semitic things, because he is very obviously fucked up in his head. Yeah, he's a grown-ass man, he's very famous, he's got a lot of responsibilities, but then for that, we're not gonna sit here and justify reviewing artists who are also literal fucking murderers. You know what I'm saying? That's my thing. I don't want to bring up the quote. I don't want to say the quote. It's either all okay or none of it's okay. You gotta pick a fucking side, especially when it's your responsibility as like a music reviewer to just review the fucking music, you know? I also feel like it sucks that I have to feel pressure to not. I was pretty sauced when I was recording this, and I think I'd be getting scared. Like, I think a lot about the shit that I post. It's kind of unfair that I can be like, oh, I'm scared to say that I listen to Kanye West music or his old music, when people be listening to Nicki Minaj, and there are barbs who are willing to dox people over Nicki Minaj when she surrounds herself with fucking rapists and pedos. I know Kanye West is a shithead. Aren't all fucking famous people? No one man should have all that power at the end of the day. They've got a spotlight on them, and they cannot hide things that other people are able to hide, and they are fucked up. Probably even more fucked up because of the pressure that they're put under and the fact that they are very mentally ill and detached from the reality that the rest of us are experiencing. Let's just look at it that fucking way. All right, people always want to talk about separating the art from the artist. This is like one of the biggest arguments that we have in this day and age. And they want to talk about how it's unacceptable and that the art is a part of the artist. It is that way, and there's nothing else that we could do about it. But humans are humans. They're still gonna sit there and jam to this and listen to that and, you know, revisit old albums that once was very fond to them before an artist went downhill or before things were brought to light about a certain artist's actions and behaviors. It's like kind of fucking inevitable. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot about this shit, and I'll be racking my brain. But at the end of the day, people do separate the art from the artist. Or they're ignorant. Or they'll tell you to your face, I don't give a fuck. I still love that art. I still love Chris Brown. Even though he's a fucking serial abuser. Dude, I just feel like there are so many fucking worse things. And it's not to say that Kanye West isn't bad. It's not to say that he hasn't done awful shit. But it's like, all these famous people are scumbags. All of them. And if they're not right now, eventually they will be. You know, at least when you're that big. At least when you're that fucking big, you know, it's like inevitable. Very last thing I'm gonna say is that people are having a really hard time separating the art from the artist when it comes to Kanye, because apparently he like kind of talks about his controversies and his anti-Semitism like in his most recent album, and that's why it's like unreviewable. At the end of the day, I don't support him as a person and the shit that he does a lot, like what other people say regarding their problematic faves, right? Or problematic people that they enjoy whatever said person creates. And with that out of the way, I actually watched a really good YouTube video this morning that said everything that I kind of was trying to say in this entire segment so much better than I ever could have done so. So I'm going to put like a screenshot right here of the video, and obviously I'm going to link it for you guys so that you could watch the video and get a better grasp of how I feel about listening to people's music despite not really supporting them as a person. Let's move on from Kanye West. We have this segment. It's called the Old News segment. There are a couple things that I saw that pissed me off this week, and originally this video was going to be called Shit That Pissed Me Off This Week or This Month. One or the other. I wasn't entirely sure. But now I'm just going to share those things with you here. I'm going to be honest, for the Old News segment, we've only got two things to talk about. One is this tweet that I saw about Chris from Mr. Beast. Somebody talks about how Chris from Mr. Beast threw away everything to become trans. Here's the tweet right here. And I thought it was a little fucking outrageous. Something that I've said time and time again about being trans is that it's not a choice. Because at the end of the day, people would choose the easier life. And objectively, the easier life is to just be straight, cisgender, to not transition, not put your body through that, to not put your mind through that, to not put your family through that, and to just be and live as the way that you were born. But the fucked up thing about life is that it's not so linear. I think from personal experience, there are or have been a couple of times as a trans person where I tried to lie to myself and I tried to settle for things that I knew would not work out in the long term because it wasn't what I wanted. But I went with it anyways. I rocked with it until one day it all crashed and burned and fell apart in my face. So I don't know a lot about them, her. I know that she transitioned. I know that it was like a really, really big fucking deal on the internet and everybody was talking about it. And I just know that she deserves to be happy. And from personal experience, there was a time where I dated a guy. It was 2 or 3 years ago. And the entire time that I was with him, I suddenly started identifying as female again. After being trans for 4 years straight, I was a woman, wanting some sort of normalcy, or trying to convince myself that I could live a normal life, also just trying to change myself for my partner, which is something that's pretty normal that happens when people get into relationships. Relationships kind of suck, and I'm going to talk about that in a further video, but they kind of suck because they change people, and I was one of those people that changed, and I lost a lot of friends because of it. Maybe now that I'm reflecting, like, people caught up on the vibe that I was just changing my whole personality for some dude, to the point where I never wanted kids in my life, and suddenly with him I said that I wanted kids. And basically, if he never dumped me, what would have happened is I would have went on with this lie until one day I would have woke up and said, fuck, I really am a trans, and fuck, I really do need to transition or I will be unapologetically fucking insane. I would have gone through exactly what the fuck Chris from Mr. Beast went through. Living a lie until one day you wake up and realize that all of this was in vain and that you're not truly happy the way that you thought you would be after every single milestone that every other person is supposed to be happy for. Getting married, having a kid, moving into a house. These things that are stereotypically going hand in hand with the American dream doesn't mean that your life is going to be perfect from here on out. Shit happens. What's the most important is that you're true to yourself time and time again. Maybe if being trans wasn't so demonized and fucked up, people wouldn't feel the need to wait till the very last minute, hoping that it will make them feel more comfortable as a cis person, to only then find out that it never fucking worked, and that the whole time they just needed to be true and upfront and honest with themselves. At the end of the day, it's a lose-lose situation. What happens when you're discriminated against and when you feel like you will be shunned for making a certain decision? So life is tough, not so easy, it's not so black and white. I just wish that more people had an open mind or an understanding about that. Think about when you were a child and you said, I wanted to be a firefighter, and now you're living with your mom, working at Burger King, flipping burgers for 9 hours a day, not sure what the fuck is gonna happen with your life. And hey, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think sometimes we have an idea of what the fuck is gonna happen and it just goes off the rails. So long as you do good and you be good and you make sure that you're being true to yourself and real as fuck, then hey, live your life. That's what's the most important. There's no such thing as a perfect life. There's no such thing as a perfect family. Just do your best and be real as you fucking can be. Last thing we're gonna talk about, Twitter in general. I don't know what crack people are smoking on there. Elon Musk completely fucked up the website. I made a joke the other day, but honestly and truly, if 15-year-old me was using the Twitter that is currently available to people, I would probably be just an absolute recluse, an absolute neat, an absolute fucking degenerate because of the desensitization that Twitter is currently churning out to people who aren't really asking for it. It wasn't something that they wanted to see necessarily, but something that the algorithm pushed to them. And I don't necessarily understand why. What's very interesting is that I literally had this conversation with my father the other day. He told me about how he saw a video that fucked him up really bad to the point where he couldn't sleep, and he said it perfectly. Elon Musk did this thing where basically the floodgates are open. There's a lot of honesty because of the fact that we're no longer monitoring or hiding the truth of the world from people, and maybe in a lot of ways that's a good thing, but on the flip side, there's a lot of fucked up stuff that is now being pushed to everybody. And again, innocent people who might not be wanting to see that shit. And I just think it's an absolute shit show. I try not to use Twitter too much because I literally feel it rotting my fucking brain whenever I do use it. But again, when it comes to YouTube and news and whatnot, it is my predominant source of information. But honestly, every time I go on Twitter, I'm holding my fucking breath and I'm scrolling like this. I'm scrolling with my eyes half closed and I'm scrolling really fast because I'm scared. And the crazy thing is how bad Twitter has fallen off. Most times when I ask people if they use it, they straight up say no. And I say, good, don't. I remember a peaceful day when I was a teenager and I was able to use it, and I wasn't getting stuff like that. I wasn't seeing anything nearly as terrible. Not even things merely as pornographic, honestly. Alright, this video has gone on long enough. The good news is that I enjoyed making it. We had ups and we had downs, bitch. We had downs. Again, I'm not much of a reputable source. I just know that I get a little autistic when I am interested in something. I'm gonna leave a bunch of links for you guys in the description down below so that if you're bored or if you heard about these things and are very curious to educate yourself on what exactly happened, you have a place to start from. But thanks for joining me. I'm proper tipsy, I think, at this point. And let's take one more shot. We're gonna take another shot. This one's for Twomad. You suck, you fucked up, wish you would've just gotten help. Don't let mental health get the best of you. Reevaluate yourself, and you're not alone. Humans, the way that we survive, the way that we cope, the way that we do anything is with each other, all right? Life sucks, but together we're better, so don't ever forget it. Cheers. Really nice talking to you guys, and I will see you at the end of next month so that we can talk about all the kooky shit that went down in March of 2024. Please do good, be good. I'm drunk. Big videos coming soon. It's at 33 pages right now and we're almost done with it, so just be patient with me. It is coming. I'm excited for it, even though you might not be. And take care of yourselves. I will see you in the next one. Bye.